Here's what nobody tells you in your 50s when your carefully built life suddenly feels overwhelming and every decision feels paralyzing. In the last year, I discovered that drowning in decisions and fearful of making the wrong move weren't exactly signs of failure. They were doorways to the most unexpected lessons of my life. Hey everyone, I'm Amber, and if you're new here, in the past videos I've shared all about my van life adventures on the road for the last 6 years, but today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to share with you 5 unexpected lessons that I learned that completely changed how I navigate life's transitions, and honestly, I wish I had learned these when I was in my 40s. You might be here because you're facing your own crossroads. Maybe it's a big move or a change in relationship, or maybe you want to leave corporate life, or maybe you actually want to go out and full-time travel. Or maybe it's just this quiet feeling that won't go away, this sense that something needs to change in your life. A year ago, my mind wouldn't shut off at night. I was caught in this endless loop of analyzing every possible scenario about where to live, a possible new direction for my YouTube channel, financial stability, and who I even was without all of these rules that I'd built my identity around. The stress, it wasn't just mental, it was showing up in my body in so many ways. I had injuries, I had health issues. That constant state of overwhelm where every decision felt like it could make or break my entire future only led to more overwhelm and more anxiety. The first lesson hit me when I was sitting in my living room surrounded by all of my pros and cons lists and spreadsheets, comparing cities and trying to figure out where to put roots down again. Should I move to the Pacific Northwest? Should I move to the Southwest? Should I move to the East Coast? Or maybe I should just give it all up and start traveling again. My head was spinning with all of the options. I was stuck in analysis paralysis, feeling like every decision had to be perfect and right for me. But all this planning, it wasn't bringing clarity. It was actually creating more confusion. And I know some of you are nodding right now because you've been in this spot before, or maybe you're there right now. Maybe not about where to live or some of the things that I'm going through, but maybe about something big in your life that feels like this heavy weight on your chest. The breakthrough came when I realized that pushing pause isn't passive, it's deeply productive. I started practicing intentional pauses like meditations in the morning, some long walks without podcasts or phone calls to distract me, simply sitting in nature and feeling gratitude in my present moment. A big mind shift is to say, I don't know what's next, and I'm open to all the infinite possibilities that are known and unknown. It creates a beautiful space to relax and let go of the outcome. I had to learn to quiet all the noise and the well-meaning advice from others as well, so I could hear my own voice again. In these quiet moments, the answers I had been forcing started flowing more naturally. It was about trusting that my inner wisdom knew the way. I just needed to get quiet enough to hear it and allow for all of those possibilities to unfold. The second lesson that I learned really challenged my thinking about my identity. After years in corporate America, I had built this whole new identity as a van life content creator. But when that no longer felt aligned, I felt completely lost. I was afraid that changing meant I was somehow betraying this life I'd built, this community that I had created. Honestly, it felt like I was losing myself, and I really loved that woman that I had become as this van life content creator, and I didn't want to lose her. I mean, who was I if I was not this adventurous nomad woman sharing her travel stories? And I see this same struggle showing up for some of you. I saw your comments from my last video, and I know so many of you are going through very similar stories that I've been or am currently going through. Some of you are considering leaving your job and wondering, who am I without this role or this identity that I've created in this job? Some of you are redefining who you are after leaving a relationship. And some of you are watching your kids leave home and wondering, who am I if I'm not actively parenting every single day? I knew that I needed to reconnect with who I was beneath all of these roles and these labels. So I started to read and journal more as part of that discovery. But here's what made it hard. Every time I tried to imagine a new direction, I'd hit this wall of fear. What if I lose everything that I've built? The breakthrough came when I realized something profound. We don't have to be just one thing. Every identity we've lived has taught us something valuable. My corporate background gave me structure and stability. My van life background gave me courage and adaptability. And this transition, it's teaching me that my identity, it's not fixed, it's actually fluid. You know, when you're holding on to those jeans that just don't quite fit anymore, you love those jeans. They have memories. But as hard as we try, those jeans are just not working for us anymore. That's what I was doing with my whole identity. Becoming someone new doesn't mean betraying who you used to be. This was about giving myself permission to be multifaceted, to hold seemingly contradictory truths. On one hand, I could love to travel, and on the other hand, I could love to have a home base. Both of these are true. You can be an amazing employee, and you could also want a new adventure and travel. Both of those are true. You can do both at the same time if you wanted. The moment I gave myself permission to evolve, everything shifted. I stopped trying to force myself into old containers and started asking, what if this change isn't about losing my identity, but about expanding it? The third lesson is about my relationship with pursuing my dreams, making changes, but still having that financial stability. As you guys have heard in my last video, I was absolutely terrified of losing my financial stability if I changed the direction of my channel and started creating different content. And spoiler alert, my fears were actually unfounded. You guys have commented so much about how you love the new direction. You've shared your stories with me about what you're going through in your life and how this content is so relevant to you. And crazy, I've gained over 1,000 new subscribers who also feel like this is the path they're on and want to be along for the journey with all of us. So I'm so appreciative for that. It feels so good to my heart that you guys are loving this. And it's just a testament that sometimes when you shift and you have all of these fears regarding that shift, it doesn't always mean that that story is true, and you never know if you're going to find that out unless you take that risk. What I eventually came to realize is that we don't have to leap into the unknown. We can build bridges. For me, that meant getting what a bridge job, yes, actually going back to corporate America temporarily, while figuring out my channel's new direction. And I know some of you are sitting there right now going through similar fears. Maybe you're in a job that looks really great on paper, but feels soul crushing on the inside. Or maybe you're thinking of a really big change that's going to affect your financial stability. But here's the game changer. What if stability and dreams aren't enemies? What if they could actually work together? Instead of an either or situation, I started looking for the and. How could I honor my need for security, and how could I honor my desire to change? What if getting a corporate job wasn't actually giving up, but actually giving myself the freedom and the abundance to reimagine my channel without the pressure of it being my only income? I learned that with this decision, what initially felt like a step backward actually gave me the freedom to explore what I really wanted to create, and it supports that growth and change. For the fourth lesson, I was learning about slowing down and imperfect action. I thought I needed to have everything figured out, the exact content direction for my channel, the perfect location to move to for the rest of my life, before taking action. I had some major life decisions to think through. However, the fear of making wrong choices, it was paralyzing. What if I move to the wrong city? What if I choose the wrong content direction? What if I regretted my decisions? And then to add to it, Being alone, making these decisions, well, that weight just felt even heavier on me. The lesson I learned is there is no wrong decisions. Each choice is simply the next experiment. It's the next step in figuring out what you really want and what you really need. I chose the Pacific Northwest not because I was 100% certain, but because it felt right enough to try. I'm evolving this channel not because I have it all figured out, but because I want to grow alongside you all. And that's the beautiful truth about transformation. It doesn't require perfect clarity. It just requires the courage to take imperfect action. For the fifth lesson, we often think of big life changes as purely mental or emotional challenges. All the thinking and planning and deciding, but your body, it's keeping score of every decision, every worry, every moment of uncertainty. When I was trying to force these answers on all these major life decisions, my body was screaming. My stress levels were high. I was suffering from physical injuries. It was showing up in my digestion and keeping me up at night while totally draining my energy. My mind kept creating these elaborate worst-case scenarios, and my body kept absorbing all that stress. I started listening to my body instead of trying to think my way through. I began taking long walks in nature, not to solve anything, just to move. I started deep breathing and meditation practices, not to find answers, but to calm my nervous system. And that's when I discovered something crucial. Our bodies often know what our minds are still figuring out. When I moved to the Pacific Northwest, my entire nervous system relaxed. I was near the mountains and the water, and the decision fatigue, it lifted. My body was telling me where I needed to be long before my mind actually caught up. So here I am, 1 year later, sharing these lessons with you from my home in the Pacific Northwest. And I know from reading all of your comments in my last video that I'm in it right here with you guys. I feel like we're all going through this same journey together. Obviously, there's some variations to that in different paths and different configurations. It doesn't matter what age we are. We're all just figuring it out as we go along and trying to figure out what that next step is. In the next couple of videos, I'm gonna actually share with you some more practical tips that are gonna help you in your journey of reinvention and transformation and allowing you to have more mental clarity and focus so that you can navigate these decisions a little bit better and figure out what that next chapter is in your story. So if you have some lessons that you're learning right now or you've learned along the way and you want to share them with this community, I'd love to hear them. Go ahead and leave me a comment below. And if you're new to this channel and you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing if you like this content. Be happy to have you on board. And I will see you guys in the next video.